Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. So my original plan was to review every episode of The Penguin individually as like a YouTube short. I did the first episode, and I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna do a summary video once the series has come to an end, which it did last night with episode 8. Now it goes without saying, I'm gonna be delving into a lot of spoilers and touching on a lot of spoilers. So if you have not finished the series, highly recommend finishing it up and come back to this video. I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot of verbal diarrhea. But firstly, can I just say, this series has been one of the most enthralling and gripping bits of television, streaming, whatever you want to call it, that I've witnessed in a very long time. You try and go into these things without biased glasses on, because I was a very big fan of The Batman. I love that film. I love Colin Farrell's portrayal of Oz Cobb, that beautiful makeup by Mike Marino, which has been carried over into this series. So you try and go into it with an open mind and keep your expectations tapered somewhat, but fuck me, I was invested, enthralled every step of the way. It gave me that excitement in the belly when each episode would end, sometimes on a cliffhanger, and you just want more. You'd have to wait till next week, and I haven't had that in a very long time. I'm very selective and very picky when it comes to committing to a new series, because now we live in this day and age where people will tell you, oh, you have to give the first couple of seasons a chance and then it gets really good. I don't want to fucking hear that. Time is precious. I have shit to do. And this is a limited series. I don't know if they're going to renew it for a second series now that it's been so damn popular. But this essentially takes place days after the events of The Batman. The seawalls of Gotham have been blown out. Gotham is still partially underwater. The city is recovering from destruction at the hands of the Riddler. We see Oz Cobb played once again brilliantly by Colin Farrell and his rise to power in this 8-episode series. Now, what set the tone for me is what was in episode 1 when he shoots and kills Alberto Falcone. Right then and there, I'm like, okay, this is what we're going for. This is the tone. But 5 minutes later, we have like a bit of comedy injected into it when he's trying to dispose of Alberto's body. He gets to the top of a staircase in the iceberg lounge and he's like, oh, fuck this, and throws the body down. And of course, Kristen Milioti as Sofia Falcone, she was a fucking standout in this series. The shit she goes through, especially her arc in the final episode, in episode 8. But not just that, we have class actors here like Clancy Brown as Salvatore Moroni, just adding that gravitas. And I'll give the showrunners this, they had the balls to be constantly dropping F-bombs, graphic violence as well, man. People are getting literally burned alive. And it's really hard to watch at times. I think my biggest worry is this going to continue over into the Batman Part 2? Or because it's going to have a theatrical release, they got to dial it back a bit and have it on par with the first Batman film. Because I was loving it. I was loving how brutal it was. And the way they've written the show, you initially root for Oz. You want to see him succeed in life. But the more they shed away in terms of his childhood, things that he's done, the choices he's made, you realize he is a absolute piece of shit, and it all comes to a head in the final episode. But what I understand now is Oz Cobb is the epitome of someone so insecure they will go to great lengths to make sure no one succeeds ahead of him, even including his own family, like we see in the episode where he locks his two brothers in that water tank underground, and you see him having a movie night with his mom while his two brothers drown. That was fucked up, man. And that notion that Oz's mum has resented him ever since but has kept it covered up. And all Oz wants is approval from his mum. And it's this weird dynamic where it almost borders on incestuous. You don't know exactly what's going on and the full details of it. We see that Oz's mom is sick and her deterioration throughout the series as well. Now, we've got to talk about Renzi Filez, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, as Victor. What an absolute standout. How Oz takes him under his wing when, in fact, he could have just killed him then and there when they were trying to steal the chromies off his car. Takes him in, takes him under his wing, trains him, shows him the ropes. But the ironic thing is that it started out with Oz nearly killing him. Oz eventually kills him. Not because he did anything bad to Oz, because he got too close to Oz. And it was one of those things in the final episode, the very last sequence of episode 8, where Oz strangles Victor to death. I thought it was possibly because he saw something in Victor where Victor was going to precede him, be better than him, like his brothers, and he didn't like that. But I also think that Victor essentially put the nail in his own coffin by saying to Oz, "You are like family to me now." And Oz has next to no family left because of how deteriorated his mother is now, and that was something that was used against him. It could be the same for Victor down the track. And I just love that little sequence there where as soon as those words leave Victor's mouth, "You are like family to me," you see this subtle shift in Oz's face with that beautiful makeup where he's like, "Fuck, I have to kill you now." It was the saddest thing I've ever seen. And kudos to Renzi Filez when he's struggling. You could almost see him reverting back to being a child and being scared and, you know, on the verge of tears. Because this man who is trusted, who is essentially family, has betrayed him, even though he doesn't know it's supposedly for the right reasons in Oz's head. Now, amongst that, we see Sofia back in Arkham, but she gets a letter from Selena Kyle, her half-sister, and I totally forgot about that. I'm like, oh yeah, Selena's her half-sister. So does that mean those two are going to team up in the Batman Part 2? But also, to cap this off, we now know that Oscorp has risen to power. He got what he wanted, but amongst that, he has left a trail of destruction, and he is an absolute piece of shit by the end of this series. Again, this series plays with your senses where at first you're rooting for Oz, you want to see him succeed, but then you see the horrible things he does, the lies he tells. Like when him and Salvatore are having the fight and Salvatore has a heart attack and you hear him yelling out to make it look like he beat Salvatore to an absolute pulp and killed him. Just shit like that, man. Like the narcissism as well. Also, I love the fact that they don't start out episode 1 with Oz wearing, you know, something that would be like a trademark Penguin outfit that you'd see in the comics or the movies. Slowly, bit by bit, with each episode, you see like, you know, a shirt, a vest, the trench coat, and then eventually by episode 8, you see that beautiful tuxedo with the coat and the top hat. So slowly, he's piecing together final form Penguin throughout the series. Now, if they are going to go the route of renewing it for season 2, I can honestly say I don't want to see anymore. I'm happy with what we got. And it's one of those things where you run the risk of overdoing it. If they do approve a season 2, I'm happy with what we got in this limited series. Just 8 episodes, beautiful, bridges that gap between the Batman Part 1 and the Batman Part 2 in 2026. And right at the end, we see the bat signal being lit up in the sky. And again, it wasn't too in your face. There was no appearance of Pattinson. I didn't need to see Pattinson. I was just totally invested in Oz and his journey and just what a fuck up he is. So yeah, guys, in the end, I absolutely love this series. Kudos to everyone involved. I don't need to see a season 2. I am completely and utterly satisfied. Bring on the Batman Part 2. And like, again, what an absolute banger of an ending. A tragic one at that. It was gut-wrenching. It was hard to watch. But again, if it affects you in that way and that was their intention, bravo to everyone involved. With that being said, let me know your thoughts down below once you have finished the Penguin series. Do you want to see a season 2? And what do you think is now going to happen in the Batman Part 2? Because holy shit. I've been seeing comments. Everyone's like, I hope Pattinson beats the absolute shit out of him. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.